Draymond Green, the best defensive player in the NBA. I think we're gonna have to stop saying that.
Yeah.
I'm never going to stop saying that. Just a heads
I
up.
know, right? His brand. That's his brand. He made some comments about WNBA players fight for higher pay. This is a direct quote from him. It says, "I'm really tired of seeing them complain about the lack of pay because they're doing themselves a disservice by just complaining." His argument is essentially that no one knows these WNBA player stories and simply that players don't bring in revenue, so they shouldn't complain about their pay. So I can't necessarily. Bryce wrote this obviously, so I can't necessarily say that's what he meant, allegedly. But I'll say that is one of the most common arguments that they use against WNBA players. But I'm not going to necessarily attribute that to him since I don't have him actually saying that. But what do y'all think of this comment by Draymond Green?
I'm pulling it up right now so we can get it. I'm really tired of seeing them complain about the lack of pay because it's jumping all around. Because they're doing themselves a disservice by just complaining.
Right.
They're not laying out steps that they can take to change that. It's coming off as a complaint because the people that can change it are just going to continue to say, well, the revenue isn't there. So if you don't bring in the revenue, we can't up your pay. They're going to keep using that. But the reality is, as true as that is, it's an excuse because everyone says we support women, we support women's empowerment, we support women in the workplace, we do this for women, we do X for women, blah, blah, blah. And everyone uses it to their advantage. Yet these women are not using these people who are saying these very things to their advantage.
Yeah.
Right. See, that's why y'all should tune in to us because we give fair, unbiased, full, out of context quotes. So,
Yeah.
with everything you just said, same question.
We're the best defenders of women in the NBA.
Let's go. Well, until we get to my point, I don't know if I'm going to be defending that.
Yeah, but I don't think I am either.
To be honest, I actually agree with Draymond right here. If you have a problem,
you said what? Can we make that into a sound bite? Say it again one more time, clearly into the mic. Look into the camera real quick.
I agree with Draymond Trump right here.
Cut it right there. Where's the timestamp, Micah or Marco?
I'll look for it.
Oh, did you see did you hear the name?
2 hours. 2 hours.
Hold on, as soon as you cut your neck, I'm gonna get the timestamp.
When I referred to him as Draymond Trump. Now, I agree with him on this though. I think it's yes, okay, we get it. You're not paid nearly as much as men are, and it's sad, but at the same time, yeah, you're not bringing in what the men do. So instead of continuing to complain about it, find solutions that can be more proactive in finding solutions as to how you can build your brand, and instead of just saying we should make what the men make, because it's not helping you. I just think that, I don't know, maybe it's just coming from a man's perspective. It's just like, you can only complain so much until you start to truly find ways to, better solutions.
Here's an interesting thing. So it's a chart showing the shares of attendance and media coverage, WNBA versus NBA. And oh no, don't tell me it's a slideshow. Okay, it's not.
Clickbait.
Blah 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 blah. Where'd it go? I lost it. So the shares of attendance, the NBA has 92.3%, whereas the WNBA has. So this is the total attendance. Like if you put the NBA attendance and the WNBA attendance together, the NBA attributes to 93% of the attendance, where the WNBA attributes 7%.
Yikes.
Now, the media coverage for the NBA, for total media coverage, is 77%, and the WNBA is 23. So
that's
just
huge.
that right there, that's disproportionate based on what you're bringing in. You're getting a lot more coverage than what you really should be. I mean, honestly, like I get it. There's some really good women out there. Like the top of the WNBA is so good. It's the second and third level that still hasn't caught up yet. And that when you start seeing like, the second, you get your bench players come in and they can drop 16 to 20 points a game because the game has caught up so much. And like there's more people playing basketball. There's more young women playing basketball at an early age and perfecting it, which you actually are seeing now. You're starting to see that surge of athletic and highly skilled girls playing basketball all throughout. And you're really seeing that across the board, honestly. Like in basketball in general, the jump in athleticism and the jump in the skill in the last 20 years is astounding. Like absolutely astounding. And you can attribute that to the training out there for individualized sports. Like people have really started to perfect training for basketball, training for football, training for baseball, because you understand how to exercise those muscles and develop those skills and things like that so much more. And that's why you see players like Steph Curry now. Because, I mean, Steph Curry is one of the hardest workers in the NBA. Athletically, athletically in the bottom 20% of the NBA, I'd say. Maybe even lower than that. But because he works so hard and he's so good and he does all these things to perfect those things, you get these type of results. But no, the WNBA players should not make more until they start bringing in more money. Until they can stand on their own as an organization and the NBA doesn't have to give them stipends to stay open from the money they're making off of their product, then you have no argument. You just don't. Like you literally can't. I can't go to my job and say, look, I should be making more because that guy's making this much. And they're going to say, well, that guy made our company $1 billion last year. What'd you do? And I'm going to say, well, I mean, I do the same thing, kind of. Like, yeah,
Hey,
right, Mark?
my department looks up to me.
Right. They like me. I'm really good at my job.
Best.
Yeah, like I'm really good at my job, and they're going to say, yeah, but your performance just isn't this. Like, did you bring in $1 billion? I'm going to say,
Y'all are really killing the suspense. Y'all are not all supposed to be women bashing.
Well,
it's not women bashing. It's just the market.
I'm just playing. But I've thought of this. Obviously, this is a contentious topic, and it's been around, especially 2019. I think it got to a headway when the players really started trying to figure out. I think there's a lot of things they were trying to figure out how to market themselves, because I think they tried to go down this like market themselves as a social justice league. But my thing is this. So obviously, the most obvious thing is that they don't generate income, right? They operate at a deficit every single year. The NBA like splurges money just to keep them open. The average of WNBA salary is $100,000. That's up from 2019 when it was $74,000.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's still good money to play basketball.
I'm saying that's great money to play a game that nobody watches. And my thing is that so look at this. So what is the population, right? We have 50% men, 50% women.
It's more.
We're always trying. They always bring it to men. Like, okay, men, what can we do to make so men like say stupid things like, oh, well, maybe lower the rim to 9 feet, or they could dress more sexy. At the end of the day, when a woman says, oh, they're not getting paid an equal amount, does that woman watch? Are they watching the WNBA? I don't think so. Women aren't supporting it. So if women aren't supporting it, why would we support it? So at the end of the day, like you said, they're getting 23% of the coverage despite making up for less than 10% of the revenue. They're trying hard, but at the end of the day, they need to do a better job at marketing to a demographic, which might need to start with young girls, and they need to do a better job at catching a female audience is what I'm saying.
Here, I want to bring this stat up from 2013. This is the latest I can see. So in 2013, ESPN said that their WNBA audience was a majority male. And it has been for years. 66%, 2/3 of the viewers were male, and almost half were African Americans.
Wow. And we don't support it. Like, that's what I'm saying. We support it more than anybody else.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I'll say this. So think about it like this: you make $100,000. The average player makes $100,000, and they play 36 games. They play less than half the games of a normal NBA season,
which makes sense because they're more prone to injury.
But it also allows some of their top players to actually go overseas in the off season and play in the European leagues, which pay a lot more. And so you can potentially play in 2 leagues, and you can make, close to $1 million in a year playing a sport that you love. Now, granted, you're not making what NBA players make, but
you're not doing what NBA players do.
You're still making, top 10 percentile of people money playing a sport that you love to play. And yeah, like I said, I get it. In comparison to NBA players, yes, it's much smaller, but like I said, the revenue isn't brought in. It's like in like high school and college sports. A lot of college and high school women complain that their locker rooms are smaller, their facilities are smaller, but when you look at the revenue that's brought in by men's basketball and men's football, those 2 programs typically pay for all of the accommodations for the other sports, even even the men's baseball and stuff like that. That's a lot of it's paid for by football and basketball. So yeah, I get it. You feel like you have the short end of the stick, but somebody else is pretty much kind of dragging you along to make sure you even have a place to play, and that's the issue.
So the average attendance for a WNBA game is around 8,000. 8,300 is what it's saying.
That's more than
That's a half arena, which I mean, that's half of State Farm.
State Farm
is like 16, I thought.
No, I thought it was more. I thought it was
is it
20-30.
Let me see. State Farm Arena attendance.
Because they're only doing 3,000 allowed in there now.
So it's 21,000 right now.
Yeah.
But that's probably with the additional seating that they've added recently, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just their viewership has gone up recently, and I think that's kind of what we were talking about, or what I was talking about earlier, was that that more young girls are playing basketball, so they're more interested.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I feel like they need to double, triple, quadruple down on reaching women, because at the end of the day, we're supporting it unproportionately, and they need to do a better job at marketing it to the people who play in the league. Like I'm saying.
Well, I mean, but that's ultimately what I initially said. I think and that's the one thing I agree with Draymond is, like, instead of complaining so much about it, just put your heads together and find good solutions. Because the more solutions you have to build yourself up, and that's about the only way you're really gonna start to move in the right direction, is you kind of have to, pick yourself up by your own bootstraps and build your own brand. You can't wait for the NBA to we're just going to keep throwing you, we're going to keep funding you so you can get to the point where you're comfortable.
I think the biggest thing, it's not the fact that we don't support women's sports here, because if you look at the soccer national teams, the women kill the men as far as viewership goes, but it's because the performance is there. 1 through 11 on the pitch, and really like 1 through 22, The women's national team is far superior to the men's.
Bro, men's is ugh.
It's just you don't support. I mean, it's the same reason the Hawks didn't get viewership for years.
Well, now they're the ones I actually agree with. That it's a travesty they
Agreed.
don't get paid more. I definitely agree with that. But yeah, because this men's team is lacking. I mean, bruh.
They didn't even make the Olympics.
Right.
No.
And they're performing on a world stage in front of a captive audience,
or the
definitely
World
deserve
Cup, whatever. They didn't qualify.
Well, yeah. So like we said, I'm totally pro women athlete, but at the same time, women need to be more pro women athlete as well. So moving on.